Working in your business, working on your business, isn't actually much of a difference between the two. And I would say absolutely there's a great difference. What that difference is, we're going to explore as time goes on in this broadcast itself. Hi folks, hope you had a fantastic week. And today, next half an hour, I'm going to share with you 4 main thoughts about working on your business, but more specifically, working on your business with others. Why do you need to bother? Why do you even need to think about working on others to grow your business? Then, well, critically, it comes down to your own well-being. It has a massive implication there, a great positive impact on your well-being. It has a massive impact on your business growth, and it also has a massive impact on making money and on your bottom line. And if you don't like the idea of making money, if you don't like the idea of making profit at some point in the future, then what I'd probably say is that you've got a very time-consuming and expensive hobby on your hands. So making money is the thing that keeps the wheels moving, allows you to have impact, and allows you to have the business that spreads the message and delivers solutions to your customers. Just as a bit of housekeeping, for those of you coming up on the live replay, if that's the right word, add in the old hashtag replay so I know you guys are out there. I can comment accordingly. Any comments that we don't pick up during the show itself, I'll pick up after the show has finished. 4 areas that we're going to have a look at in terms of today's broadcast. We're going to be looking at the idea of team. It's not what you might think it is. We're going to look at the idea of learning. We're going to look at the idea of accountability, and we're also going to talk about frequency here. These are all the great benefits of working together with others on your business. Let me just separate a couple of points here at the beginning. I said at the beginning, the idea of working in and the idea of working on your business. There is a subtle difference. So those business owners out there, when you're working in your business, you're spending a lot of time delivering value to your customers, keeping an eye on your team, engaging with suppliers. You're doing what I call largely the operational stuff. Absolutely critical. You're out there delivering goods, you're delivering services, you're adding value, hopefully, to your clients, you're solving problems, you're solving solutions, you're dealing with an internal team. And, it's really quite frenetic. You've got that role of an HR person, a finance person, a marketing person, and all those different things are going on to keep your business ticking over. And that's great, and that has to be done. What we're talking about, or what I'm specifically talking about, is the idea of working on your business to take your business a step further. A step further, for me, is growing your business. And I'm not talking about literally, dominating the world, unless that's in your mindset. But if you don't have aspirations for growth, you're actually going backwards in your business. Even if you want to maintain your current level of clients or turnover or profitability, you need to think all the time about going one step further, because you will have things like churn. Customers, however wonderful they think you are at one point, may leave you due to circumstances. Costs will go up, revenue-based changes, competition comes in, technology changes. The world is a crazy place. There's lots of things going on that will shape your business future. So you've always got to be thinking about forward, and you can't just be thinking about the here and now. Well, you can. I would just suggest that's not a very sensible thing to do for your business. Certainly if you want to keep your business and sustain it and do more things with that. As I said, in terms of comments that have come in, and I'm just going to have a quick butchers here, if you don't mind. Fantastic. So I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people. Thank you very much for giving up some of your Saturday morning. So I've got my friend and colleague. I'm just going to give you a shout, and then we're going to get back on with the show. So Jo North here. She is she's actually very much part of the inspiration for this presentation today. She didn't actually write the script, by the way. And I'll just share a couple of moments with you in terms about why Jo and the Business Growth Club is the inspiration behind today's broadcast. And what I'm talking about today actually comes from personal experience more recently, in terms of working together with others on my business, and also over the last 25 years. Helen, who's part of a community that I'm involved in terms of working on my business, good morning to you. A nice little hello there. So what are we going to be talking about today? So let me talk about this working in your business. We've said working in your business is about doing the day-to-day stuff, which is critical, delivering the value to your clients, doing the clients' jobs, looking after your team, looking at all the bills coming in, all that sort of day-to-day stuff is absolutely critical. I'm not denying that at all. But what we need to do, we need to create headspace and time and opportunity to step outside the day-to-day and to think going forward about how we actually grow the business. Now, first area that I want to share with you is the idea of team. And all this thought that I'm sharing with you today came out of this Business Growth Club. Now, this is not an advert for the Business Growth Club. Obviously, it's a great thing. It started. But as I was building the Business Growth Club with my friend and colleague, and notice I'm saying it's not my, it's ours. We had this idea. We collaborated together on that. And I got some great benefits in terms of developing that business model, developing that product, developing that Business Growth Club here. And all the things I'm going to refer to today, I'm going to say for myself, tick, tick, tick. That was, fantastic. Now, team. And I'm going to differentiate here between two types of team. I think collective working, I think working with a team is absolutely 100%. So if you've got a team, whether they're made up of employees, as I do, and say subcontractors, freelancers that help you deliver what you deliver, whether you've just got solely other freelancers or subcontractors, there is a team element involved in there. Now, let's be realistic. However brilliant and motivated your team of employees are, however brilliant and talented and motivated your subcontractors and freelancers you're working with, they're not going to be looking at the business in the same way that you are. They're not financially invested. They don't have skin in the game in the sense of getting the same financial rewards. So you've got to stop deluding yourself to think, I'm motivating my internal team to help deliver that and help me move things forward. Ultimately, it's your responsibility as a business owner to do that. Don't expect your employees, your staff team, your freelancers to have the same passion, the same motivation, the same impact, the same drive in your business as you do. That's unrealistic. That's an unfair burden to put on people. They can certainly help you deliver your plan. They can certainly help you implement the plan, but they're not on a parity with you. And that's not I'm up there, they're down there. They don't have the same financial rewards as you. They don't get the same benefits as you. And let's be realistic. It's your baby. It's your vision. We're talking an outside team. And typically this team would be like-minded individuals, typically made up of business owners. So my message effectively is going out to fellow business owners working with a team of like-minded individuals who have the same perhaps entrepreneurial mindset as you, who might have the same pains of running their own businesses. There's a shared liking there. There's a shared journey there. That is what I'm talking about. That's the team. Now that team, a collective working, we can learn a great deal from that like-minded community. And I'll expand that in another way. A lot of us as business owners, and I've been doing this for about 25 years now here, is effectively we're very working in isolation. We're self-driven, great entrepreneurial spirit. We've made that leap going from a secure job, perhaps, circumstances such that we've made that leap to running our show. And therefore, when we work with others who've got the same outlook, there's none of this explaining what the life of a business owner is like. There's none of this explaining what an entrepreneur's life is. However you want to describe yourself, talking to your friends and your family about what it's like running your own business, they just won't get it. And it's not because they're doing it deliberately, but they won't have shared that pain. They won't have shared those moments when you're working till some ungodly hour early in the morning, or actually when the phone doesn't stop ringing at 9 o'clock or 5 o'clock, or emails. They just won't get it. They won't understand it because they've not been through that journey. So it's unfair to expect them to have that perfect empathy. They're certainly going to support you, but they're not actually going to identify fully. So working with a group of individuals, business owners who are in that space, whatever part of the business cycle they're in, is a fantastic thing. And it has great quantifiable benefits as well. Now, learning is another thing. Now, I come originally from the world of education. So in my first paid for job, was actually as a teacher. I know you might not think so, but I've taught primary school, I've taught secondary, I've taught all levels of education. And in terms of going through all those different levels of education, as a teacher, as a lecturer, working with different age groups, from up to postgrad, down to, sort of, as I said, primary school here, there are lots of things that you keep learning. Now, when I left that and I went into industry, I learned more things, not just in terms of my own profession, but you learn different skills. And I've always been a firm believer is that once you stop learning, or you think you've got there and you know everything, well, either you've got a brain the size of a planet and you've absorbed everything, or you're deceiving yourself, and complacency can set in. And working with a group, and obviously it's got to be the right group, when you're working with a group, you get ideas of other people. And I've learned a lot in my lifetime from working with others who may have different skill sets, different experiences. Even if they're in the same industry as you, they may have a different way of working, and they come up with solutions to problems and solutions that you hadn't even thought of. When we're actually stuck with our own thoughts, our own sort of stuff in there between our ears there, we can sometimes get a bit foggy. So actually sharing that with others, we can learn. Now, whether it's technical skills, whether it's skills in marketing, HR, doesn't matter. It's ways of working, ways of approaching things, methods of communication. And again, from a personal perspective, I get a great benefit from working in other groups on my business. They're not in the same industry as me. They might be in the same industry, it doesn't matter. But you can always learn. And once you stop learning, ladies and gentlemen, it's called retirement. And you shouldn't really stop at that point. So that's another great benefit. So we've got two here so far. We've got the idea of that collective environment. Notice we're talking about effectively peer working. So we're talking about individuals who have got the same, maybe not the same attitude as you, but they're actually running their own business. So there's a shared experience there. There's a shared pain, and there's probably shared successes. People can identify what it's like when you actually make that sell, that adrenaline rush that goes through our veins when somebody buys something, when somebody engages, when we've worked hard at putting something together and we get it out there and we get that buzz when somebody engages with that. That disappointment factor that sets in when we think something's going to work, we've invested a lot of time and energy in something, we get it out there, and unfortunately, it's the computer says no, and it doesn't quite connect the way we want it to. We talked about learning from others, and remember, we have something to contribute as well. So we bring our own knowledge base, our own skills, our own experiences, and we can share that with those like-minded individuals. Now, the third benefit of actually working with others on growing your business, and that's really critical. We're talking about collective working, and it's working on the business, is the actual idea of accountability. Now, left to our own devices, we can flim-flam, we can get that shiny bauble syndrome, we can get distracted by things. And one key challenge for any business owner, when they've got that idea that in their mind they want to grow their business, they want to take their business a step further, they want to do something different with their business, they might want to pivot the business, they might want to try new ideas, whatever it is in your action plan. Once you've got your plan there as well, it's key to make sure that you stay within the channels. So if you imagine a swimming pool, if you go swimming, you know, you don't really want to be swimming up and down the lanes and you've got somebody crossing the lanes and going all over the place. You've got to try and keep within your lanes within reason, and you don't want to get too distracted. Now, all of us do this. I'll hold my hands up, and I'm guilty of this on occasion. We set ourselves tasks, and what can happen is life intervenes, emails intervene, other people intervene, and we can get distracted. And the task that we set ourselves to do may not get completed. It's very difficult to be your own disciplinarian, if that makes sense. And therefore, having others that you're accountable to and with can be a great, fantastic thing. Just imagine like going down to the gym, that workout. Some people work with coaches, and that person is there to chivvy, to encourage, not quite the platoon sergeant barking at you, unless that's your thing, but actually someone that you can report to. So if you set yourself tasks, if you set yourself milestones, things to achieve, clocking in, say, typically on a weekly basis, it means, you know, you've got to make sure you've done your homework, If you haven't done your homework, fine, nobody's going to put you in detention, but you're accountable to your peers. You've got to show up. And yes, okay, there might be a little bit of pressure on you, but it means you're going to get things done. And let's face it, if you don't get things done, you're always going to be still stuck in first gear. So thinking, right, I've got a little task to achieve. Don't overwhelm yourself. Turning up, your peers, your colleagues, this part of the community there are going to have a look at what you've done. They're going to share their thoughts with you. You can share what your thoughts are with them. You can bounce ideas up. But actually, it's a bit like sticking that note on the fridge to remind yourself, I'm using my own experiences here, of what not to do. So accountability is absolutely a key ingredient here. It's like an external entity and thing and person making sure that you said you're going to do what you said you were going to do. So let's recap what we've got so far. We've got the idea of team, the team ethos. We're not talking about people in your organization, in your business. We're talking about people who rest outside of the business. You're part of that community of like-minded individuals. You're grabbing, you're sharing ideas. We're talking about learning, where we pick up tools, techniques, and we might have an idea that says, I've no idea how to, get to talk to this particular customer or customers. I'm not quite sure how to write this message. I'm not quite sure if this idea is going to be viable. Well, you can learn from others' experiences, others' mistakes, and you probably all know this anyway. If you go into business thinking you're never going to make a mistake, if you run a business thinking it's all going to be perfect, as they see on these wonderful adverts, we sometimes see people with their Lamborghinis thinking all you have to do is click your thumbs or fingers and magic happens. Well, that's complete rubbish. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody, trips up. Everybody goes backward in their business plan. Everybody goes sideways. Everybody has a stall. Everybody has that moment in time that says, do you know what? I've really got to have a deep breath here and try and move on with what I'm doing. Over the 25 years plus that I've been running a business, I've made mistakes. I'm not going to confess them all, but it happens. Many big entrepreneurs make mistakes. It's what we learn from those mistakes that's really critical. So don't beat yourself up too much here. You've got to actually appreciate that part of the process, part of the moving your business forward is actually factoring in that occasionally things won't go according to plan. Now, obviously a plan helps, but it can't guarantee that in life. Now, the last thing I really want to talk about is this idea of frequency. Now, what do I mean by this? So we've talked about the team idea. We've talked about the learning environment, always to be receptive to it. We've talked about being accountability to others and as well as yourself. And the last thing is this idea of checking in, this frequency. And the whole idea, certainly that's coming out from the communities that I belong to, the Growth Club that I've started with Joe, is that you have a check-in session. So what it typically says is, that every week at a certain time, it's check-in time. You get to meet up with your peers. You get to update everybody about what's going on here. And I think having that calendar, having that idea of regularity, I think is a great thing. It gives us structure. It gives us something to focus on. It gives us timelines to work towards. And let's be realistic here. Most business owners, even if you've got a big team or you're a solopreneur, will tend to work in isolation. They tend to literally work by themselves. And therefore, having that idea of a regular checkup, there's a social dimension to it as well. It's catching up, it's saying hello to your like-minded colleagues. But it also means your journey is broken down into slots where you've got to check in there. So that idea of once a week, typically, obviously you can talk to people every day if you wish to, but that might be too distracting from your running a business and growing a business. But having the idea typically of once a week is check-in time, catch up with my peers, my colleagues. Let me share what's happened over the last week. Let me check my homework. Let me check all those things that your community is doing. It's a fantastic thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's recap what we've got. We've got about working with others is the essence of this broadcast, but it's working with others to actually move your business forward. It's not about working in your business. It's not about working with other members of your team. They are going to be the ones who are going to be implementing there. We're talking about like-minded entrepreneurs, like-minded businesses. Those could be businesses at the beginning of their cycle or at the end of their cycle. Now, the key for me is to make sure it's the right group. There are probably a plethora of groups out there. Now, like with any group of individuals, any group of businesses that you collect with, it doesn't have to be that you all like the same thing. It doesn't have to be that all of your characters are identical, but it means that you share a common purpose. And that common purpose could be wanting to grow the business, wanting to take on other people's ideas and consider them. It could be that you're open and receptive to it. If you go into something of a group working and you're closed-minded, you're not receptive to other people's input, then I would suggest group working is not for you. Now, this is team working, collaborative working, call it what you want, but it's working together with others on growing your business and taking it forward. Now, before we wrap up the show, just to flag you up a few things. If you've liked what you've heard, obviously brilliant. I'm not going to be embarrassed if you want to put a thumbs up, if you want to share that with others, comment on it accordingly. If there are questions that come from here that you'd like answered, obviously chuck them into the comments box. I think #replay will make sure that I can catch it. But what I want to do also is to talk to you, and that's a bit premature, about next week's show. And I'm quite excited about this. Now, it's still in the world of business. And it's about, I've got a special broadcast lined up next week, and it's about planning in the arts. More particularly, I've been very fortunate over the last few weeks to be involved and been approached about helping a group of individuals, 3 sisters, and I'll explain that in more details next week, about putting together a festival, going from the idea of saying this is what we want to do to actually now coming to life. And in a few weeks' time, that festival will go live in Scotland. And I'm going to effectively talk to you about the idea of planning in the arts. Now, again, that's next week's topic. It has a business resonance, by the way. So if you think, oh, actually, what can I learn from, an arts organisation? Well, let me share something with you. All of us in business can share and learn from everything around us. So whether it's from the world of sports, whether it's from the world of social enterprises, whether it's from the world of market, it doesn't matter. All businesses have things in common. They have ideas they want to turn into something. They have clients and customers they engage with. They have money that comes part of that cycle. What they do with the money is probably the biggest distinction. So therefore, that's a critical part of it. So I'm really looking forward to that. And there's a lot that private businesses, by the way, can learn from how things are done in the arts, creative and the social enterprise sector, and vice versa. Cross-fertilization is certainly the name of the game. Now, I love your company. I really appreciate your company today. So a great shout out to Joe, a great shout out to Helen, and I'm going to pan up there. Richard, absolutely, that's really appreciated there. Richard is a regular contributor and watches the show. So obviously he's one of our #1 fans. So that's brilliant, Richard. Thank you very much itself. And that word, free, is always a good one to any business owner. Just a food for thought as we wrap up the show. Working with others can be beneficial, but it's working with the right group of individuals and businesses. So look carefully, think about what is it I wish to achieve in my business? What's the outcome? What's the objective? What's the end game there as well? Check it out correctly. Make sure that it delivers what you want. Have a look at the people who run the groups. Get an idea about the people who experience things from this group before you make a final decision. Now, most things in life, there are lots of things out there that are free. Absolutely agree with you there. But also, at some point, you've got to make a decision as a business owner. Now, as a business owner, when you want to move your business forward, yes, there are lots of things that can be free, and I think great, manage your costs accordingly. And I'm going to talk about this more on a future broadcast. But at some point, your mindset is going to go from everything can be free to move my business forward to I'm actually going to make an investment, the right investment to actually add value and move my business forward itself. So obviously, I will share some information about this Business Growth Club. This hasn't been an advertorial format, but it's something that actually I've benefited from being involved in delivering. It's something that I'm enjoying running with my colleague, Dr. Joe North, I keep saying Dr. Jo North, by the way. She's not a medical doctor, and she probably prefers to be called Jo, but I'm just going to embarrass her there because she's worked hard for her doctorate, and it's in something practical, but she can share that with you later on, as we will do. But you've got to get together and you've got to make an investment. So we're going to have a business growth club being launched later on this year, August, September. We'll share some details about that. So obviously, if you're interested, I shall be that person who's going to do a bit of marketing at the end. Tag me in the comments. We'll share that accordingly. Helen, obviously, because it's going to embarrass me slightly. That's absolutely lovely of you to say so. Thank you very much. Helen, I'll give you a shout, is somebody that I work with in a group. So I'm actually talking talk as well as walking the walk. Is that right? Do you walk the walk and talk the talk? But anyway, effectively, I'm not just saying this from a piece of paper. I'm actually saying it from actually benefiting myself of working in groups. If it's the right group, it can be fantastic. If it's the wrong group, then it can be very, very painful. Guys, listen, thank you very much for your company today. I hope you got some value from that. If you've got some value, give me a thumbs up. Apart from that, have a super, super Saturday. And if I get this right, I'm going to play out with a bit of music. So, ciao. Have a fantastic